Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating piece of source material. It honestly acts like a masterclass in theological fact-checking. We're going to follow a speaker who meticulously investigates, deconstructs, and ultimately challenges a completely bizarre religious claim made by rival clerics. It's a super compelling look at the anatomy of source verification, and honestly, how stories can just take on a life of their own.
To really understand this dispute, we have to start with the inciting incident, and it's a highly provocative and, frankly, pretty wild claim circulated by opposing clerics. Basically, they allege that a specific religious group genuinely believed and even wrote down a story where the divine creator slipped on a banana peel in paradise and a historical figure had to literally catch him. Now, as you can imagine, an allegation like this, it immediately sparked an intense rebuttal from the community being accused.
The speaker in our source material points out that this entire theological debate actually revolves around the etymology of just one single historical title, Das Dagir. Essentially, this translates to handholder, or one who saves from falling. It's a traditional title of respect given to the revered figure Abdul Qadir Jilani. But the opponents built their whole attack on the claim that this title was given to him literally because of this alleged banana peel incident. They basically took a metaphor of spiritual support and turned it into a literal physical rescue mission.
Section 1. A controversial religious claim.
Now you might be wondering, why does a bizarre story about a banana peel even matter in a serious religious debate? Well, according to the source material, the opponents are using this story as a theological weapon. They argue that if a group actually believes this literal narrative of saving God from a fall, then it proves that group has a highly inappropriate, physical view of the Creator. It's a way to accuse them of holding fundamentally flawed beliefs about the divine being subject to, physical accidents. And in this theological context, that is an absolutely massive accusation that strikes right at the core of their faith.
What really stands out here is how firmly the speaker, Farouk Khan Rizvi, issues his immediate rebuttal. He doesn't try to make excuses for the story. He doesn't try to nicely reinterpret it. He just categorically denies it. He states explicitly that his community maintains God is entirely free from physical form or body, so the whole concept of slipping is just completely impossible. He labels the entire banana peel narrative a fabricated, malicious lie, and says it absolutely does not exist in any authentic text belonging to their tradition.
Section 2. 3 contradictions in claims. Let's watch the detective work begin.
So the speaker begins dismantling this accusation not just by denying it, but by pointing out the glaring inconsistencies in the stories pushed by 3 different opposing clerics. For instance, cleric Jarjiz claims the fall happened from the 6th heaven, and he cites a book called Sirat i Gause Pak. Meanwhile, cleric Javed Rabbani claims it happened while strolling in a garden, but he names no source at all. And then a third, cleric Khalil Rahman, claims it was a banana peel in Jannah and cites a public gatherings response as his proof. The details are just all over the place. There's zero consensus on the setting or the source material. This triad of contradictions forms the absolute core of the speaker's logical critique. He asks a devastatingly simple question. If they are quoting one authentic book, why do the locations and stories keep changing? Right, if this is supposedly a foundational text of their faith, the details shouldn't just morph from the 6th heaven to a garden to a banana peel. He uses these huge inconsistencies to heavily question the credibility of the so-called evidence.
Section 3. The 12-year challenge. And the speaker doesn't just sit back and complain about it. For 12 years, he notes, he's issued an open challenge. Literally just produce the physical book you are quoting. This whole thing culminated in a trip in early 2023 to Chennai. He was right near an opponent's center and basically said, let's sit down, film a verification process, and I will publicly apologize if the book is real. But the face-to-face meeting was declined. Instead, only after the speaker had left the city, the opponent released a response video from a closed room. He highlights a highly specific detail to show just how absurd the situation got, the number 75. He points out that the opponents initially gave these super specific details to sound credible. They claim the source book could be bought for exactly 75 Indian rupees at Haji Ali in Mumbai. Yet, despite having a specific price tag and a specific location, nobody could produce this 75 rupee book for over a decade. It essentially became this phantom text that everyone was talking about, but literally nobody had actually seen.
Section 4. Screenshot and real book. And guys, this brings us to the real climax of the explainer.
Okay, so what evidence was finally presented in that post-trip response video?
The speaker reveals that instead of the physical book, actually, scratch that, forget a physical book, the opponent produced a digital image. It was a cropped Google screenshot of a completely different text. Now it was suddenly called Daruze Haram, allegedly on page 229. The title changed, the format changed, and the demand for physical proof just vanished into a pixelated digital image. This shift from a verifiable physical book to an easily editable file is a huge sticking point in his analysis.
The speaker uses this exact moment to establish a really strict rule for theological debate. He completely contrasts the opponent's standard, which is relying on a cropped internet screenshot with zero physical verification, against his own rigorous standard. He argues that true theological verification simply cannot rely on easily manipulated digital snippets. If you're going to debate theology, you need to bring the physical, printed book. And honestly, ideally, a purchase receipt to prove it wasn't just custom printed in a basement to win an argument. It's all about establishing a solid chain of custody.
And here is the massive plot twist. The speaker actually went out and physically tracked down the text that matched that exact internet screenshot. While the opponent claimed this text represented the authentic, genuine belief of the speaker's group, the reality was completely different. The actual book wasn't written by their group at all. It was a book titled Barelvia Jit Kikana Talashi, and it was written by a rival author, Muhammad Mahmoud Kiran V. Nadwi. That completely shatters the claim that this was some kind of self-admitted belief.
But what makes this revelation so impactful is how the screenshot was manipulated. The speaker points out that the rival author was actually mocking them. The text immediately preceding that bizarre story reads, "Today we will let you hear from their own mouths why he is called Dastagir." The author then presents the banana peel story as a sarcastic, satirical straw man argument. The opponent had deliberately cropped out those introductory lines to present a rival's mockery as an authentic confession of faith. Just a complete misrepresentation of the original source.
Section 5. Important message for youth. So the speaker uses this crazy, intense fact-checking journey to deliver a much broader takeaway, and he aims it specifically at educated youth. His message is super clear. We have to rely strictly on original physical tests, not hearsay or rumors. You've got to be hyper-aware of internet screenshots because, as he quite literally just proved, they can be easily taken out of context to twist the truth. He's really urging the youth to educate themselves deeply so they can actually defend their beliefs against digital propaganda.
He ends his analysis on a really passionate note. Quote, "Acquire knowledge and transfer it to your friends. Do not let internet screenshots dictate your faith." It's such a powerful call to action, right? It just goes to show that in modern religious discourse, strong community ties, continuous education, and really rigorous media literacy are basically our only real defenses against the rapid spread of misinformation. And that brings us to the end of this explainer. We've seen how a wild claim about a banana peel completely unraveled through some pretty basic fact-checking, exposing contradictory sources and manipulated screenshots along the way. But I think this leaves us with a critical, much larger question to ponder in our own lives, no matter what the topic is. In the digital age, how can we truly differentiate between hearsay and original sources? Because honestly, when a cropped screenshot can spark a decade-long debate, how robust is your own standard of proof? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and keep asking the right questions.